I speak to people and there's, really positive conversations about anyone that's ever worked for Murdock or been part of that. But not so much when we start talking to other barbershops about the product and so on. And I'm not even sure many of them actually even got inside a tub. I don't know if it's actually...
If it's any
never
good.
like the product's shit or anything like that. I don't think it even makes it past that.
Try white label first of all, because the cost will not hit you as much. But if you really, really want to build your brand, you've got to be able to look a little bit further ahead and plan to spend a lot of cash up front initially on marketing that you won't see within a month. I'm seeing brands every single day. So if you think, okay, I'm going to do this, you've got to put some cash, some serious cash behind it.
When the barbers try it and hate it, does that happen? So how much say do they really have? If they go, this is a pile of shit, would it get binned?
Actually, it does.
Welcome to The Noble Barber. This is a podcast for barbers by barbers, cutting through the crap of the industry. We all want to know how our businesses can run better. I want to talk to people who've done it, messed it up and got it right second time round, and can tell us the way that you and I can make our businesses better.
Hi there. Welcome to another episode of The Noble Barber. I'm here today with Graham Clark. Hi, Graham, who's CEO of Murdock's. And so we were just talking about the joys of CEO. Could I get you just to give us a bit of a kind of run through of the Murdock history up to date before we talk about Murdock's itself?
Sure. I've not been with Murdock for... I think I've been with Murdock for 2 years. I've not been with it the entire history. So I think this year we're coming up to 19.
Right.
It was originally founded by Brendan Murdock, who started, and now I'm going to be saying lots of I believe, because I kind of, I have to go on my understanding. I believe started with a store in Shoreditch. In fact, I'm pretty certain of that. It was a very popular barber location, and that they expanded, so the stores expanded, and there was a bit of a partnership with another retailer, and quickly went from the one store, I think, to about 10, 15 stores over time. Mm-hmm. It's gone through a couple of changes of ownership. It's now owned by a private equity firm who owns quite a lot of businesses in our industry. Oh. So hair and skin, I would say. It's gone through quite a few changes. I think, like everyone, when COVID hit, everything kind of shrank back a little bit, certainly from a store perspective. So now we have I always say 3.1 stores. I'll come to the 0.1 in a second. So the 3 stores we have are in Shoreditch, Covent Garden and Soho. And the 0.1 is in Manhattan, which is it's where I was last week, actually. It's in the Nordstrom store. So it's kind of like a section in the store there. Yeah.
And when did 0.1 come along?
I think that's probably about 5 or 6 years old now.
Okay.
Yeah. I couldn't really say.
And so the States, let's start there, seeing you've just got back. The States is a popular place for Murdock? Very. I think from a perspective of it being a barber-led brand. So first and foremost, Murdock is everything that we do. All of our products are the final approval stage of anything that we do is approved by our barbers. So let's get that. We'll get that out of the way first of all, but also British made. So we don't contract manufacture anywhere outside of the UK. We keep it as local as possible. So there are raw materials that are always going to be further afield, but our manufacturing is always here. Anything that is Barber approved and British made in anywhere around the world seems to have quite the appeal, particularly when it's genuine and authentic, like the Murdock products really, really are. Right. So over there, it's huge.
When
the barbers try it and hate it, does that happen?
So how much say do they really have? If they go, this is a pile of shit, would it get binned?
It does.
Yeah.
So we go through, it's quite a rigorous process actually. So we go through a really, really intensive testing process before we launch. And I'm going to give you the latest example.
And this is all properly never been made before products when you're doing it. This is your formulas.
It's our formulas. Yeah. I mean, we might take some other benchmarks. We might look at a different product and think, we like that idea or that aroma or what that base, and kind of play around with it. But everything is completely from scratch. So I'll give you an example. Twice a year we innovate, so it's pretty tough going because you've got to rethink the whole thing twice a year. What we've just done is we got to a point where we were going to be launching a moustache wax and also an ingrown hair treatment. The ingrown hair treatment got through, it got tested, the barbers tested it in store, so they test it in our Covent Garden store, on clients and also on themselves. They loved it. Big tick, everything else has been done, all the testing is complete. The moustache wax, it failed 3 times. If something fails 3 times, then we bin it. Okay. We don't bin it, but we shelve it until we get to the next run, if you like, and then we'll have another go. Yeah, but some of the products, if they don't really stack up from a barber level, then they're the final testers. They don't release.
That's good to have that level of integrity in
Absolutely. I mean, I can have my say, and indeed I do on occasions, but I never get past the barbers, and that's absolutely, they are the gatekeepers of our new product.
No, that's fantastic.
Yeah.
So that's a big selling point US wise.
Yeah, it is a big selling point US-wise. And I mean, the American market it's really interesting. They love a British product, but they love something with authenticity at the same time as well. And because we have that location in Nordstrom in Manhattan, it's just built and built and built, So we are now in 3 different department stores over many different sizes across the US. So I think it's just they call it the Sunshine Belt that we need to really work on. But it's pretty good. Pretty strong.
And so 2 years in Murdock's. Yeah. The 2 years. So COVID was over. Life was going back to some normality by the time you pitched in.
That's the time to join.
I mean, a lot of companies.
On the up.
Now, there are a lot of brands disappeared during that time. There are a lot of changes.
Yeah.
What's your big change as CEO? What's going on with Murdock that you feel is Graham led?
I think any change at that level, it's about that's it. The Graham thing is change, right? And not trying to give the brand a voice again, because so many brands, so many businesses had a voice, had a huge voice before COVID. And then all of a sudden COVID comes along and everything came crashing down, and we couldn't quite figure out why afterwards that things weren't quite working. I mean, I was working in skincare at the time, and it was horrendous. It was a real minefield. You didn't know where to go. You didn't know what to do. You couldn't, in that instance, you didn't know because of the government response. You didn't know whether you were open, whether you were closed, whether you were open. And it was just craziness. So the stores obviously really suffered. I think during that time, the brand actually built a little bit more momentum, but of course online, because that was the only route to revenue. And for so many of the other businesses that survived, the only route was to try and do something online. Where you could have drop off at your local home, or you could come pick it up from the store or whatever. So I think there were some big changes there post COVID. Obviously, then I joined. And I think there were some key changes that needed to happen in the brand to almost kind of pull back the awareness that it had and the recognition that it had in the industry. Okay. So that's what we've been doing really for the last couple of years. Every CEO that I meet with and that I speak with, or leaders of any kind, have a voice now, and it always seems very genuine.
Right.
And I think that's the way ahead. I think I'm incredibly genuine. And just trying to get the job done, really. Yes, we focus a lot, because we have to focus a lot on the finances of the brand and what's coming in and what's going out, etc. But it's about building that brand recognition and also awareness as well, and growing the brand. That's the key thing, because everyone, even the individual barber, you know, the owner operator, wants to grow. It's just in what direction, you know. So it's about carefully picking and choosing where we go.
And as CEO, is this just the product, or the stores themselves, the actual barbers themselves? How does that fall under your domain?
I mean, overall, as a CEO, you're managing every aspect of the day-to-day. But of course, you have a leadership team. We're relatively flat structured at Murdock. There isn't me plus an upper level pyramid of folk that report into me. I work very, very closely with the entire team. The stores are managed by a general manager, and very well looked after. He's great at what he does. So he works on the ground level. I interact with the barbers.
So if I was cutting hair in one of the barbers, I'd bump into you at some point.
You'd see me probably 2 or 3 times a month.
Oh, okay.
I'm visiting. They don't always enjoy me visiting, because I will always point out that there's hair in the, you know, near the bin or what, you know. I unfortunately pick up on those little things, right? But I also, because I have to have my hair cut, right? So I'm actually a client as well. So it's important for me to see it from every level. There have been occasions. Last Christmas, I went into all 3 stores and worked. I don't think they're going to want me back in again, if I'm honest. But I did, you know, I will sweep up hair and put it in the bin, I might add. But also make tea and coffee, not as successfully as anyone else would probably do it. But yeah,
did you gain from being in the stores like that?
I do, and I have a personal rule. So in any leadership role that I've had, I have this personal rule, which is keep my ground very firmly in the roots of the business.
Right.
So my grounding with Murdock is if I do not spend an equal amount of time in the stores as well as the other parts of the business, I'm not really doing the brand justice. So that's what I do. And it's about keeping very, very close to what's happening, listening to the clients when they're in the chair, listening to the interaction, watching our guys work. And I have to be honest with you, the team are truly phenomenal. They're they're incredibly consultative in their approach.
Do they bend your ear when they get you? The whole kind of if they're like this and this, if they come to you with a proper list of like, right, well, you can wait for the kettle to boil.
Yeah, it's like, I don't know, it's like having a rich relative, and I'm not by any means saying that I'm rich, right? But it's like having
But you're seen as the purse strings,
you're seen as that person with the cash, right? So you kind of you do answer to a lot of it, and there will be a lot of things like, you know, the toilet's not flushing properly, and you know, and I will honestly look at them and say, and do you want me to fix it? Have you got a plunger? Have you got no? How do we do this? So yeah, there is a lot that they will ask, but you know, it's nothing that I haven't come to expect and I'm not used to. You know, nothing has particularly thrown me completely. Really, really not.
Oh, I think that kind of that being accessible makes you, I guess, a little bit more relatable to barbershop owners. That, you know, most barbershop owners know that part of their job is owning the place and the other part is tidying up, making sure the system works and all those other bits and pieces. And then the other bit is obviously the product. And that's the bit I always think, you know, I was really looking forward to you coming on because I think there is this kind of bit of Marmite about Murdock. And I love it when we got someone that's like that, because I speak to people and there's, you know, really positive conversations about anyone that's ever worked for Murdock or been part of that. Really positive. But not so much when we start talking about to other barbershops about the product and so on. And I'm not even sure many of them actually even got inside a tub. You know, I don't know if it's actually...
If it's any
never
good.
like the product's shit or anything like that. I don't think it even makes it past that. And a lot of it is, what's the point? You sell it on Amazon, I can get it there, which I hear for about most product companies.
Yeah. Look, and I think it's fair. I think it's fair.
right? I'm going to be honest with you. Most barbershops now in the UK, correct me if I'm wrong, are owner operated. So everyone that has their own business, right, it's here. It's absolutely here. And I get it and I understand it, but absolutely. You have to make your choices around that. All I would say, and I have said in the past, is we are authentic. It's not about producing product for producing product's sake. It's about producing product that A is Barber approved and B is made here and has a lot of authenticity about it. However, we're a brand, we're a business, and we're looking to grow, right? We certainly don't want to stagnate. When you stagnate, it kind of really doesn't work out for you that well. So we've fought this battle. Only last year when I decided, and I'm gonna put myself here. Here we go. I decided that we needed to step into the professional market with the product, because actually, and if anyone out there hasn't tried the product, it's bloody good. And yes, I'm the CEO, so I would say that. Sure. I know anyone listening to this will think, yeah, he's going to say that. But honestly, it does what you need it to do from a personal level, but also on a professional level as well. And I hear that not only within our team, but also in the US. We're in a chain of salons on the East Coast, and they're all loving the product. And there's no concern. It's quite interesting, actually. We have a very big Amazon business. We have in the US. We don't have an online business there at the moment. We will do. And then we are also in a chain of stores as well. Right. Now, this salon chain in the US opened because the CEO of this salon chain went into one of the department stores, purchased a product, tried it, absolutely loved it, and said to his head of buying, we need to get this in. It's amazing. And that's how that happened, despite what was going on around it. I think for me, my message here is we do need to expand, right? And we will continue to expand and grow, just like everyone else out there does. Everyone out there is looking to grow because there is a goal there at the end, right? First and foremost, it's give it a chance and try it and actually open the tub and try the bloody product, because it does work. It does what it's meant to do. But without awareness, the product isn't going to pull in your clientele. And more importantly, I can tell you, there are Murdock fans all over the country. Mm-hmm. We don't have Murdock locations all over the country. We have some retailers all over the country who stock the products, and we have some online retailers that stock the product all over the country. But those customers, those customers that are using or clients, you can call them, Murdock products at home, sooner or later they will want their hair cut or their beard trimmed. And wouldn't it be great if they could go to their local barber or whoever to buy that product or to experience a service? That's the most important thing. And that was kind of the angle I was using when we initially tried to launch into the professional market. I'm going to admit this now, I've never done this before. It didn't work, and it didn't work because timing was not great for us. We were going through some packaging changes, and it was just not ideal. But do you know what? There is brand awareness out there. Certainly in the UK, there is enough brand awareness to go around, and I really believe with our product in a professional location, it will draw folk in, because there is quite the fan base, if you like. Yeah. Fan base probably isn't the right word, but you know what I mean.
The barber, the clients from the barber shop are still buying. Is a Murdock's shop still a big outlet for the product?
Yeah, absolutely. I think we're probably average at about 20-30% retail.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, in all of our stores. So it's incredibly strong. And I think there isn't one of our barbers that doesn't sell to almost everyone. It's probably about 60% of guests walk away with something, I would say. And that's the strength of the brand, but it's also the strength of the product. And we like that, because then when the guest opens that product
and they smell the aroma or they try the product and they try to recreate their style, they're reminded of that experience in store. And that's the avenue that we take with our own barbers. And that's kind of where I wanted to go in the professional market, but obviously fell on my backside on that one.
But
for now.
I was going to say, a learn from that though, do you think? Or are you just having to recalculate? Did you gain anything from falling on your face?
Yeah, no, I did. I mean, you know what? I say to all of my team, including the barbers and everyone back of house, if you fall over, what do? You don't lay there, you get up. And you carry on, and that's the thing. Yeah, we did fall on our arse doing that. Sorry, but and we learned some valuable lessons.
I think that's the big it. As long as you're gaining from it.
Yeah. You kind of have to. And I said this in a meeting at Christmas, a senior leadership meeting.
Right.
What would you? I was asked to give a speech, and I said, "Look, I'm just going to say one thing, one piece of advice. I love failing. So if you fail, try to get some enjoyment out of it. It's not always the absolute disaster. How many failures have you had? Like I've had many.
I think as long as you're learning from it, I think it's a great thing.
Absolutely. We're never going to go back and repeat. I mean, it would be ridiculous to go back and repeat the same model that we've just gone through.
I'm sure there are an awful lot of there's a lot of companies out there doing that time and time again.
I mean, really. But that's the beauty of where we're at, and that's. I didn't actually correct myself on, I'm not that CEO in an ivory tower in a glass office. I actually sit with the entire team in an open plan office with another two brands actually. So it's not, you can't help but learn all the time. And just because I'm a CEO, it's been a bloody long journey, doesn't mean I suddenly get to this level and then stop learning. We'll do it again. We absolutely will do it again. Maybe in partnership with a distributor or someone else that is very good at what they do. Because I'll be honest, it's the team is very small, and we just weren't prepared. So and the timing was a little bit off.
Yeah, but it's run differently out of the US and Europe. Is the UK a completely independent territory?
No, it's not. We run everything from the UK. So the US is run from the UK. We have a small team in the US. Europe is run from the UK office. We now have a relationship with Mecca in Australia. So, we're working very closely. It's almost global. Wow. Almost global, with the exception of South America, India and China, who have the toughest regulations known to man. Yeah.
How's it going in Oz?
Very good.
Yeah, it's really interesting.
Very good.
Brit
really
barbering
good.
really does seem to be a really strong export, and whether it's kind of show, education,
Well, we really lead the way in beard, right? So, not the beard, as in beard care. And in Australia, I mean, there's beards aplenty, Yeah. It's quite interesting when you compare the markets. Actually, the differences in the markets can be quite big. But in Australia, beard care is very strong, very, very strong. In the US, one of our shaving products is really, really strong. And I'm like, okay, there's an interesting mix of, so that guys in the US are shaving, guys in Australia are not. In the UK, it's kind of a little bit mixed, and in Europe, it's pretty much the same. It's very dependent, I think. In the US, it will be very state dependent, so where you are. But certainly on the East Coast, I mean, shaving now is very popular again. So it's just interesting to look at.
Definitely. Yeah. And so your first time as a CEO?
Yeah, I've been a leader of sorts, throughout. In the last kind of 25-30% of my career, I would say.
Does it feel like a kind of natural progression, or has it been a bit of a step, a bit of a change of pace?
I think with any change in leadership, this isn't the first time I've been a leader of a brand. I might have had to, in the past, I would have reported into a CEO that was in another country. Yeah. So I worked for 2 brands that are not UK based previously. And you do always sit at your desk and think, oops, what the hell am I doing now? But actually, for me, I've been so lucky, so lucky. I had no formal education. I left school at 15. I went straight into retail, and I grafted. And I mean, I grafted.
When you say retail, as a salesperson,
yes, a shop floor person, absolutely, yeah. So, which I loved. I loved. I mean, as soon as I could make money, I did. And that doesn't make me greedy, by the way.
No.
I don't know how that sounds, but But
I was having a conversation with someone yesterday, and there's something that is sales in you, I think. Some people feel really natural and it becomes a very normal thing, and other people find it totally alien, uncomfortable. And if you've got it, then it works, isn't it?
Do you know, it's interesting though, in that I think everyone has an element of sales in them. I really, really do. And I think a lot of the owner-operators and the barbers out there don't realise how strong salespeople they are. And sales is such a weird word. When I came back, so I was in Australia for a little while. When I came back from Australia, I was consulting, and I would consult entire teams on educating over selling.
Yeah.
And it's that whole thing. I mean, so many show me which brand hasn't done the whole 360 approach to selling and all the rest of it. I get it, but selling it's no different than talking. It's just talking and connecting. And if you connect with the person in the chair, and they get what you're trying to say, and also you're showing them how to style their hair at home with that product, they're going to buy it.
Yeah.
And it's that simple. So yes, I am a little bit salesy to a certain extent, but it didn't. It's not just about sales. It's really this role in particular, actually, being that there are I think 7 different channels, so 7 different sales channels into the business. So we've got stores, we have online, we have Amazon. Dirty word again, sorry. And then we have our own e-commerce, and then we have what we call our bricks and mortar stores. So we have Mecca in Australia, we have Marks and Spencer's here, we have Nordstrom in America. So we've got all of these channels. It's knowing all of that in pieces. So kind of having a broad overview of the business and what's happening and what needs to happen and what needs to be corrected, sometimes on an hourly basis, if I'm honest. But then also just having a little bit of that future knowledge, that future kind of planning out.
But with a product range like that, to take it forward, is it important that you like the product? Is it important it's a good product?
As a CEO, yeah, absolutely. And do you know what's interesting, right? I said to you about keeping my feet firmly on the ground and always being a part of the stores is something that I've always done.
Right.
And I've been a director, I've been, a sales manager. It's something that I have always done I've made sure that I almost dip dye myself in the brands that I've worked for. I'm still using some products from some of the brands that I have worked with because I truly believe in them, because I'm a fan. Yeah. And because generally when I make my decisions, I look for a brand that I believe in.
Yeah.
And I was a Murdock customer. So that makes a difference as well, So this didn't really fall into my lap. It was a long negotiation, but this role kind of came across and I was like, wow, okay, I know the brand. I've experienced a couple of services. Let's go and have a chat. Yeah. So you kind of have to.
So, I mean, I've spoken to lots of people over the years and a few on here who have products, have started with products, have launched with products. And I guess, and even myself back in my glorious 20s came up with what I thought was the greatest idea for a product and then never pursued it. I think there's an awful lot of products out there that were thought of and never happened.
Yep.
And there's a lot of products out there with, I could have a product range tomorrow with my name on, but I wouldn't have much to do with what goes in the bottles and what the bottles look like and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
So for the origins of this product, it's like a thought that an awful lot of barbers have had of having this range. How did the journey of Murdock's becoming a product by the barber in his first shop there as that product make it to, as you say, a near global or a global
almost
product?
global? I mean, we could say global, really.
So how does that happen? What makes some products fly like that and some not? And how did he get there? I think that's what makes it a bit more touchable for us.
Yeah, I think it does. I think I mean, my answer in my head isn't going to sound great, but you've got to have bloody deep pockets. You've got to be able to. The thing about this is, I love anyone who has a passion. And listen, I've been on this side of the industry, in and skin and hair, for a long time now. And I've seen owner operators who've said, I'm going to do my own thing. And I'm like, right, okay, this is what you need to do. Try white label first of all, because the cost will not hit you as much. But if you really, really want to build your brand, you've got to be able to look a little bit further ahead and plan to spend a lot of cash up front initially on marketing that you won't see within a month. You'll see it 6 months, maybe a year down the line, but you've got to, and I'm sure and also all of your podcast listeners will know, there are, but if you look at Meta, if you look at Instagram or Facebook or whatever, Facebook for the older crew, but yeah. So I'm certainly not a TikTok fan. So if you look at that, if you, I'm seeing brands every single day. So if you think, okay, I'm going to do this, you've got to put some cash, some serious cash behind it. Now, when Murdock first started in Shoreditch, and it was a white label product, and it went really well, really, really well. It went down really well with the clients, and then that expanded out into all the other stores that Murdock had at the time. But then when it was taken over the first time by a private equity firm, they bought the cash that was needed to elevate that product.
And that was the point when there was this huge money went into it to prescribe it as as Murdock's standalone invented product.
I think that's the thing. You've got to have that cash behind it. And unfortunately, it always feels like it's empty cash. It's almost like you feel like you're burning a lot of cash initially, which you will.
Yeah.
That's the reality. But also, it will come. It just takes a little bit longer, and you've got to. It's all about now. The one thing that I've learned actually in the last 2 years is test and measure all the time. So I might do a test for 4 weeks. I might do a test for 12 weeks. I might do a test for 6 months. But at the end of that, you can assess then. So I'm constantly testing, and we adapt to any given change within our business. Almost, like I said to you, sometimes almost hourly, if we really, really need to. So we might pull investment from one area and push it into another, in particular with marketing, because marketing is key to any brand's growth. So, and that's kind of really, so that was the journey of the brand. But for me, my advice to anyone looking at producing a brand is create a level of authenticity around it. It is the first thing, and be prepared to spend a lot. If you want to do something with it, if it's just something that is going to look great in your business, on your shelves, in your in the back bar area, then that's fantastic as well. Like if you just want to do that, that's great. But and then just keep it white label and keep that ticking over and have that as your brand in the store. But if you want to go to that next level, that's when it needs the extra investment. And I've been there myself. I worked, when I was in Australia, I worked with a brand where we had to go out and get extra investment for marketing because we just couldn't do it ourselves, So, it's tricky.
It is. I mean, I've got several mates who've taken a hair product to market. And I mean, the money that it just swallows up.
It does. And, it's not even just that. Marketing does swallow up a lot, but you've also got to prepare. Like if you have one successful post and all of a sudden you're selling, I don't know, you're selling like, more than your shampoo and conditioner than you've got available. You've got to be prepared to scale up. And that's one pitfall that I have seen throughout my career.
Yeah.
Is that people just are not prepared for that. Oh, this is working.
Yeah, your own victim of your own success almost.
In some ways. Yeah.
There does seem at the moment, there seems to be a lot of products being bandied out there at the moment. There's a lot of new, it's become a very crowded market.
It's been incredibly lucrative, but, it's like anything. You've got to be prepared. You've got to be prepared to put the time in, really, behind it. And I really feel for any owner-operators that are producing their own brand. And by the way, they can always reach out to me and ask me for advice. I'm happy to do that. You can find me on LinkedIn or wherever.
Yeah. I'll grab some contacts off you and we'll put it on with the put it on with the post. I always think it's really good that you guys, the guys can kind of reach out to you, hopefully with a sensible question. There's always, I'm fairly confident that everyone always gets some comments that maybe aren't, but I think it's I think it's been brilliant that you've come along with it. I'm really interested. I'll be honest with you, I've never tried it. I've never taken it out of the pot.
We'll have to get you some.
Which I will endeavour. There's been. I think it's been really an interesting one for me talking to. I think you're the third product company I've spoken to, and it's a really interesting thing that I don't know. The other guys were the people behind the product and actually inventing it. The one thing that does seem is there is a kind of enthusiasm and a passion for it.
Yeah,
and I think with all of us, with whatever our business are, I think if you've got that energy and positivity about it, and the ability to fall on your arse occasionally,
isn't it all really? The whole thing, everything that we do day to day is just about getting up and getting out of bed.
Yeah.
Right? And I think that's it's getting out of bed and thinking, they're going to be challenging today, but what the hell?
Yep,
it's another day. Let's do it. And I think that's my gift. I'm going to give to everyone. And literally, if you're getting up out of bed and you've got a smile on your face, you're winning. Yeah. You're winning. Yeah.
Mate, thank you so much for coming and talking to me. I really appreciate it.
No problem.
Good luck. I'm looking forward to next year and what happens next with Murdock. I will make sure I get some out of a product pack and try it. Thank you very much. Appreciate it. Thank you for watching this episode of The Noble Barber. If you liked it, please do like and subscribe. If you've got comments of what we should be doing in future, please give us your questions and we'll try and find an expert to talk to. Or if you're the expert and you want to come on here and help stay in touch, we'll get you on. Come and join us on the sofa.